Welcome back. Ecuador's indigenous Waorani community in the Amazon region have filed a lawsuit against the government to protect their ancestral lands from an oil auction. The lawsuit alleges that the government has violated the Waorani people's rights to self-determination, identity, and territory. In 2018, the state announced an auction of 16 new oil concessions covering nearly 7 million acres of primary forest, including in the Waorani territory. They say the government failed to consult them before offering their lands in the Pastaza region to the highest bidding oil company.
Our land is full of life. Inside the jungle there are sacred animals, our river and our community, and that's what we want to protect. Our land is our life. Without our land we cannot live. We are here, all community members together, to speak up. Many other communities came to support us. We are going to ask for our right, and we hope they listen to us and respect us. Respect our lives. Our land is not for sale.
To talk more about this issue, we are joined live by Mitchell Anderson. He's the Executive Director of Amazon Frontlines, who has been supporting the Waorani campaign for many years. Mitchell, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
A lawsuit has been filed against the Ecuadorian government claiming that the Waorani's rights were violated. How so?
I mean, essentially what the Waorani are saying in their lawsuit and in the media and on the streets right now is that the Ecuadorian government is trying to sell their land right out from under them without their permission, without their consultation. And what that means to the Waorani, who are in ancient hunter-gatherer culture, is the Ecuadorian government is seeking to sell their hunting grounds, their rivers, their creeks, their waterfalls, everything that gives meaning to their life and allows them to survive physically, culturally, and spiritually. The Ecuadorian government is attempting to sell off the rights to extract oil in their lands, all in pursuit of, really the last drops of oil in a remote rainforest that's highly biodiverse and, that the Waorani people have been the guardians of for thousands of years. In legal terms, what the Waorani are saying is you violated our right to free, prior, and informed consent. You violated our right to collective territory, to self-determination, and you've also violated the rights of nature, which is a really important policy that the Ecuadorian government enshrined in their constitution years back, and the Ecuadorian government, in its pursuit of oil, is continuing to violate that right.
Now, Michelle, what is the Waorani community specifically demanding with this lawsuit?
First and foremost, the Waorani are demanding respect and dignity. They want the world, the Ecuadorian government, the oil companies, the ministries, and the people around the world to respect their way of seeing and thinking and feeling and living in their forest. That's at its core, at its heart, what this struggle is all about. You heard Namonte Ninkimo, who's the elected leader of the Waorani people of Pastaza and the 16 villages that are filing this lawsuit, say that our land is our life. And what they want is for their life and their land to be respected. Concretely, what the Waorani want from this lawsuit is for the Pastaza provincial judge to rule in their favor and basically say that yes, it's true, the Ecuadorian government, in attempting to auction off the Waorani people's land to the oil companies, has violated the right to consultation, to free, prior, and informed consent, violated the right to self-determination, and hopefully the judge will also issue an order to the Ecuadorian legislature to begin a participatory process of building a new law, a law that guarantees that indigenous peoples are consulted and have the right to free, prior, and informed consent over any extractive activities happening in their territory. And that's really the precedent-setting aspect of this case, and something that I think other indigenous nations across Ecuador and hopefully across the upper Amazon can gain from this lawsuit and from the Waorani people's determination.
And that's exactly what I wanted to ask you now. Do you think this legal challenge sets a precedent for future legal strategies in defense of indigenous communities?
Definitely. We hope so as well. I mean, right now, essentially, the indigenous folks, in Ecuador and across the Amazon are the ancestral owners of roughly 1.4 million square miles of primary rainforest, highly biodiverse rainforest. That's roughly 10 times the size of California. And that's really significant in the fight against climate change as well. And indigenous communities depend on this territory, depend on their land for their very survival. And they are the people that have the power to protect and defend their forests from really what is short-term and short-sighted decisions made by the local governments to extract finite resources from their territories, and in the end, cause environmental harm and continue global warming. What we think can happen from this lawsuit is other indigenous nations as well in Ecuador and hopefully across the upper Amazon can begin wielding the power of free, prior, and informed consent to protect their territories and live well in their lands.
Michelle, we thank you so much for your time for Telesur English.
Yeah, thank you for having me.